feeling smooth on touching. It should be free from lumps, should not have the less setting time than 30 minutes. Then we have composition of this Portland cement. You have all these components: tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, tricalcium aluminate, tetracalcium aluminate. Then you have calcium sulfate, calcium oxide, magnesium oxide. All these materials taken and crushed first and ground, then fed to the rotatory kiln and increasing the temperature between 1400 to 1650 degrees Celsius. Chemical reactions occur, then they are added to the clinkers, and then clinkers are cooled and pulverized to the fine powder form, which is the final state of the cement. Working of the rotatory kiln, that is, you can say here the slurry is collected at upper end of the kiln, then you have the hot gases that are forced from the lower end. Then kiln consists of the drying zone. Okay, here you can see in the diagram, drying zone is there, then burning zone is there. In drying zone, all the water is evaporated, and after that all the process of the carbon dioxide elimination is done. Then the mixture is sent to the burning zone, where you can see the temperature is about 1400 degrees Celsius to 1500 degrees Celsius. In this burning zone, the calcine product is formed and finally converted to hard, small greenish blue balls that is known as the clinkers. These clinkers are again grinded to the fine powder, that is, with the help of the ball mill and tube mill. Initial setting of the cement, we can see here the cement almost loses its plasticity within 20 to 30 minutes. This is initial setting. Then almost the final setting of the cement takes place between 8 to 10 hours of mixing it with water, and the mass becomes very stiff. You can now come to the glass. The glass is the supercooled liquid that is basically amorphous in nature. Okay, so you can say what are the components present. The properties, that is chemically inert, then you can say hard but brittle, or you can say transparent or translucent, amorphous. All these are the basic things that one has to remember while defining the glass. These are the raw materials that are used for the glass that one has to see. Then you can see what happens to the glass manufacturing process in the 4 steps. The first is melting, second is forming and shaping, third is annealing, fourth is final finishing. Melting is done. All these are comprised in the diagram that you can see very clearly. There is a hot flame temperature 1800 degrees Celsius, in which all the raw materials are given this much temperature. So first step, you can see very clearly, raw materials are heated, then when all carbon dioxide escapes, then decolorizers are added. After that, you can see very clearly that coloring salts are added in case of the desired color. Now you can see the temperature of the mixture is then dropped down to 800 degrees Celsius. After cooling, the molten glass is given desired shape by either blowing or molding or pressing between rollers. Then you can see annealing final process, that is glass articles are allowed to cool. And how they are allowed to cool? They are passing through the descending temperature conditions in the different chambers. Longer is the annealing period, greater is the quality of the glass. The final finished articles are there. They are given the quality of the cleaning, grinding, polishing and cutting process. You can see here very clearly what are the colored pigments that are kept, that is, colored pigment that are used to get the colored glass are: for yellow colored glass, ferric salts are added; for green colored glass, ferrous and chromium salts are used; for blue color glass, cobalt salts are used; for purple color glass, manganese dioxide salts are used; for red color glass, nickel salts are used. Then you have 6th point, that is for lemon yellow color, you have cadmium sulfide that is used. For greenish yellow color, you have uranium oxide salts are added, and to get the opaque milky white glass, cryolite or you can say calcium phosphate is added. So these are the color pigments that are basically added in order to get the colorful glasses, and depending on the properties of the components, different things are added. Let us try to move ahead with the different glasses. All these are discussed in a small. Each glass possesses a specific properties depending on its components. You can see here a very important, that is this borosilicate glass or pyrex glass, that is very important because it has a property to withstand very high temperature. Then you have seen the aluminosilicate glass, basically formation of the, you can say, low amount of the boron trioxide is that, but we have a very high amount of aluminum oxide in aluminosilicate glass. You can look here at the optical glass, that is Crookes glass. It has a low melting point. It is capable of absorbing harmful UV radiation, and that is why it is used to make optical instruments like the lenses, etc. Safety glass, as 3 layers are there, so very important glass as used from the automobile field and aeroplane field. The 3 layers, we have a thin layer of cellulose acetate kept between the 2 sheets of ordinary glass. It is heated, so all the 3 things merge into one another, and the final, the thick glass that is obtained is laminated glass or the safety glass. We have discussed the refractories in detail, a material capable of withstanding a very high temperature without undergoing the changes. You can see the characteristics: should not fuse at operating temperature, mechanical and physical strength or properties should not change at high temperature, it should be chemically inert, you can say withstand the temperature differences, should be able to bear the load changes, contraction and expansion of refractory should be sudden, its thermal and electrical conductivity should be low. Refractoriness, a very important property, that is ability to withstand high temperature. Then you can see here the strength, okay, how much load that particular refractory can withstand without breaking is basically defined as a strength of the refractory. You can see thermal expansion should be very low in order to avoid damage. Then we can say porosity of the refractory should be moderate. Otherwise, if more porosity is there, then chances of the gas entry will increase and reaction is more probable to happen. You can see thermal conductivity also. Refractory should have a very low thermal and electrical conductivity. At the same time, chemical inertness also plays a very important role. Refractory should not react chemically nor should undergo the corrosion process. Chemical composition of the refractory play very important role in determining the character and nature of the refractory. Then you can see the classification of the refractory. Acidic refractories are basically the materials that are not attacked by acidic substance but are attacked by basic substance. Same way you can see here, basic refractories are the materials that are not attacked by basic substance but are attacked by acidic substance. You can see the example magnesite, dolomite, alumina, and in case of acidic refractory you have silica, quartz, kaolinite and fire clay. These are there. Then if you discuss the neutral refractory, they are the substances which are not attacked by acidic and basic substances. For example, you have carbon and graphite. Now, what are the properties of this alumina refractory? Alumina bricks are having good porosity, they have high mechanical strength, good heat and thermal resistance, they are inert towards gases like CO2, H2, oxidizing and reducing agents, etc. Then we have properties of magnesia refractory. Magnesia is grey or dark blue in color. It has good crushing strength. It reacts with acid. Heat conductivity is very low. They show little shrinkage. So these are the properties of the magnesia refractory. Then we have described the general applications of the refractory. As refractories are the material which can withstand very high temperature, so they are used for lining of the furnaces, crucibles and converters in making iron, steel and non-ferrous metals. It is used to construct cement kilns, glasses, tanks, steam boiler, paper plants, etc. You can say special type of refractories are also used in rockets and nuclear power plants. That's all for today. In this session we have discussed the whole chapter number 5, that is cement, glasses and refractories. We will be taking up the next chapter in next session. Thank you so much for being with us.